In this video, we'll talk about approaching the collective unconscious. So to make it clear from the outset, we're arguing here from the perspective of psychoanalyst Carl Jung. So we're arguing from the perspective of psychoanalysis in general, but then more particular from the worldview put forth by the psychoanalyst Carl Jung, who was working at the turn of the 19th to the 20th century. Jung was a psychoanalyst as a student of Freud, was largely influenced by Freud's ideas, but who went beyond them. He proposed something beyond the unconscious, which was in itself a great turn in psychology, right? This proposition that there are forces beyond our control that we are not conscious of, that we don't know, was a, let's say, explication that wasn't made before. It was implicit in other theories and other philosophies, but ever since this turn, the way we think about ourselves, the way we think about our conductance in the world has radically shifted. Jung shifted this further by proposing something known as the collective unconscious. So what we're concerned with in this video is really how to approach this collective unconscious. So how do we deal with this proposition? How do we deal with the presence of the collective unconscious? How do we deal with its, let's say, immanence within ourselves, but at the same time its transcendence as something that is so vastly beyond what we are or what we consider ourselves to be. So that is the sort of the goal of the video. Roughly what we'll be talking about is, first I'll give a brief overview of the structure of the psyche according to Jung, especially, this classical Freudian structure and how Jung sort of expanded that with the collective unconscious. We'll then go into the precise nature of the collective unconscious, first as a general phenomena, as a psychic phenomena, let's say, how we experience it and how it manifests within our everyday lives. And then as a more, let's say, metaphysical phenomenon, as a factor underlying both psychic and physical reality, sort of as an underlying transcendental function. And we'll get into this discussion. I'm not claiming it's a transcendental function yet. We'll have to look at this critically, And finally, we'll get into this question, how to access the collective unconscious based on the premises we put forth in the first two chapters of this video. And then finally, we will conclude our thoughts with some precautions and some very, I think, valuable insights into what we can actually do to sort of approach the unconscious, collective unconscious in specific, and what we can't do. And this is these precautions are based especially on the presence of the ego, and the ego as a factor that's sort of in rivalry with the collective unconscious, if you will, at least in our everyday experience.